Damian Lillard has been a player that has been on the edge of superstardom for the past few years, and that's for good reason. He hasn't had an all-star teammate since LaMarcus Aldridge in 2015, and has led the Portland Trailblazers to the playoffs for the past 8 years. But that's where the myth comes in. When the playoff time comes around, Damian Lillard underperforms, and he's overrated in the playoffs. As an overall player, I don't think he's overrated. People can go a little too far sometimes, but generally, I think he's fairly evaluated in the NBA community. But in terms of his play in the playoffs, I think people need to start hearing the truth. Just because he hit some of the most iconic game winners doesn't mean he's a good playoff performer. And when he puts up the numbers, he often does this on terrible efficiency. Not even just for his standards, but compared to league average. What if I told you he's never shot above 45% from the field or above 40% from 3 in the playoffs? But for some reason, no one wants to talk about it. Let's go back to the 2014 NBA playoffs. The Trailblazers faced up against the Houston Rockets. He averaged 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists a game in that series, compared to his 21, 4, and 6 in the regular season. And in the last game, he scored 25 points and shot 57% from the field and 60% from 3. And one of those 3-pointers ended up being the game winner and one of the most iconic shots in recent memory. In the next round, he played slightly worse than his regular season play, but was still a productive player in his sophomore season. Looking back at his 2014 playoffs as a whole, he played better in the postseason than the regular season. And I'm not here to hate on Damian Lillard, and that's why I'm highlighting the series. Every player has highs and lows, but the amount of each is what defines how good a player is. Look at LeBron, for example. He is known as one of the best playoff performers of all time, but he choked in the 2011 finals. But the amount of times that he showed up and performed by far outweighed the amount of blemishes he's had. That's why he's looked as an overall great playoff performer. Same thing goes with Stephen Curry. He blew a 3-1 lead in the 2016 NBA Finals and didn't live up to his standards. But the amount of times that he showed up and performed by far outweighed the amount of blemishes he's had. We need to look at Damian Lillard's play in the postseason as a whole, and that's why I think he's overrated. When I take a look at how he plays in the playoffs year by year, I think he underperforms for his standards. And even last season, he was playing amazing before the playoffs. Going into the bubble, the Trailblazers weren't on pace to make the playoffs, but Damian Lillard put his team on the back and put up crazy games to bring them into the playoffs. He got the 8th seed and knocked out the Grizzlies in the play-in tournament. He was playing like the best player in the league, and many people were talking about how he might be even better than Steph Curry. And even going into the first round, some people had the Trailblazers getting the upset over their soon-to-be champion Lakers due to their momentum and how good Lillard and the team was playing. But when the playoffs came around, he didn't show up. The Blazers won the first game, and the buzz around Portland got even louder, but then they lost the next 4 games and lost the series. And Damian Lillard went from scoring 30 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists a game in the regular season to just 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists a game in the playoffs. And not to mention the efficiency he did it on. Damian Lillard is known as one of the best shooters in the league, and for him to shoot this bad says a lot. He shot roughly the same from 3 compared to the regular season, but he shot terrible from the field. And this isn't just for his standards, but compared to even the average NBA player. But for some reason, no one wants to talk about how poorly he played. I guess the media already got on Paul George, right? And since we mentioned Paul George, let's look at this series in 2019. Damian Lillard played great. There was a lot of trash talk between Dame and Westbrook, and it turned out Dame won. He wiped out the Thunder in 5 games, including a 50-point game and a series-ending shot. He played great, I'm not gonna lie, but the media acts like he had an amazing playoff run even though he had just one good series. In the next round, they faced the Denver Nuggets, and he played okay. The series went to 7 games. The Blazers would win, but they only won by 4 points in the final game, and Damian Lillard didn't have a good game at all. He put 13 points, 10 and 8 on 18% from the field and 22% from 3. The Trailblazers only won because CJ McCollum had to step up and had a 37-point game. And if it wasn't for CJ, they would have lost. And then they made it to the Western Conference Finals. The matchup would be the Warriors versus the Blazers, Steph Curry against Damian Lillard. Kevin Durant was injured, so there was no crazy difference between the two teams. And the Blazers got swept, and Damian Lillard didn't play well. He averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.5 assists a game on 37% from the field and 37% from 3. If you are known as one of the greatest shooters in the league, and you're the star of the team and your main role is to score the ball and you shoot 37% from the field, then you're pretty much shooting your team out of the game. And Stephen Curry, the player he was getting compared to, destroyed Damian Lillard and the Blazers. He averaged 37 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists a game on elite shooting, unlike Dame. And the last series I want to highlight is the 2018 first round against the Pelicans. Going into this series, the Portland Trailblazers were the 3rd seed and the Pelicans were the 6th seed. And the Blazers got swept. Drew Holiday made Damian Lillard look atrocious. Drew Holiday held Dame to average 19 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5 assists a game on awful shooting averages. I don't care how good the defender is. When you are looked at as a top 15, maybe top 10 player in the league, there is no reason you should play like that. And they couldn't even win one game. Drew Holiday didn't only clamp up Damian Lillard, but he also destroyed him on the offensive end. He even played better than Damian Lillard on the defensive and offensive end, and it wasn't even close. There are some other playoff series that I didn't touch on, where Dame played close to his regular season play or was at it, but overall, looking at his performance in the playoffs throughout his whole career, he isn't a good playoff performer. He doesn't put up the same numbers, and he does so on terrible efficiency. He has only 2 series where he played noticeably better compared to his regular season, and only 1 is in recent memory. That's only 2 out of 11 career playoff series. He has underperformed time and time again in the playoffs, and I don't know why so many people fail to see that. All they see is 2 game-winning shots, or should I say series-winning shots, so I guess that means he's a great playoff performer, right? It will be interesting to see how he will play in this year's playoffs, and in the first round he's matched up against the Nuggets without Jamal Murray. I think it's a pretty equal matchup and it's going to be fun to watch. I think the trend is going to continue and Damian Lillard will underperform once again. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I respond to every comment, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe for future basketball content, and thank you for watching.